Back, I've shown you how to set up the assessment tool specifically, and I've showed you what it looks like when students completed some of the different types of questions. So let me show you how you can build an assessment like this. So you've already created it, you've done the setup. So in the questions part, you just click on something that you want to add. So I started this one by adding text. So if you click add text, it's going to take you to the bottom and it's going to create the text box for you. I hope. There we go. All right. So it's still loading. All right. So text box is in there. It has a lot of different functionalities. You can add pictures. You can add symbols. There's obviously, you can add audio. You can link, drag and drop. There's so many resources you can actually add to build the text section before you do it. Once you've built it, you just click save. If you want to reorder questions, you can just drag them around and drop them into different things. You'll see that the number will change automatically. So if I move 7 down there, whoop, see the numbers will just change. And similarly, so I just click on something that I want to add in here. So let's go through the types of questions I built. The first one I can edit here was my multiple choice. So you get your question box, the types of answers. If you want to reorder your answers, you can just drag them around too. You can decide if there are multiple correct answers or not. Choose which one is the correct one. If it's an exact or a partial match. And then when you're done, you can click save. Now I have also attached learning objectives to all of my questions because I know this is a criterion A type test. I can show you how to do that in a different time. So once you're done with your question, you can just click save. All right, so that's the multiple choice question. If I look at the true or false, it's the same kind of setup for all of these questions. You put your question. Here it is literally just true or false, but you can obviously add more information in here depending on what it is that you want to put in. It's basically another type of multiple choice, but is it true, is it false? And then you click save when you're done with that. The matching one, very similarly, you put table A, you put table B, how you want it to display, so you can move these around to display differently. And then here you have to choose which one is your correct answer so that it has a template from which to auto grade when students submit this. Or you can say duplicate responses, so they can maybe choose the same one for the same kind of matching activity. All right, so matching. The labeling one, you first have to, obviously the question setup, you upload an image. So just click upload, that one's already there. So you drag and drop the image into the space. Once it's in the space, you use the response box. If I click on the response box here, you will see it has now added this fifth one, and I can kind of move it around where I want this to be. And now I have to add an answer for that. So maybe that is the back. All right, so now there's a fifth one, and I have to say which is the correct one for the auto marking function, and that's kind of it. So you add a response, drag it to where you want it, put in your responses, set up your correct answers, and then click on save. The ordering one, if I show you that, all right, you put in what you are ordering, you put your correct order down, and again you can drag these around. This is how it will display for students, so you can change any of this, but then this is the order that would be correct. Okay. So here again, you can drag it around to make your correct answers, but this is what it will use as a grade scheme. Okay, so that's ordering. The short or long answer question is kind of, oh no, this is the fill in the blank. So I have put in the text here. So it says at the top, to create a blank, type an underscore. So you'll see here to insert, oh, let's make it about elephants. Elephants are, now I just put a underscore and it will make another response. You can see it's added it to the bottom, are what in color. So now I need to add the answer is maybe elephants are gray in color. Okay, and it will kind of check. So this one is kind of niggly because you actually have to type it in correctly. If it doesn't match exactly, then it's not going to grade it correctly. So this is one that you might want to review if you decide to use this for a reading comprehension style question. So we're saving that one. And then finally, this is the short answer question, sorry. Short answer question, you compose the question, text formatting options for students, so you can kind of activate a whole lot of, like, what kind of functions do you want them to be able to have, right? So depending on the type of response that you are creating in here, do you just want them to be able to bold, italics or underline? Do you want them to create lists? Do you want them to clear formatting, alignment, quotes, there's subscript? So all of this extra stuff, you decide what access they want within that box, all right? And this is math characters, if they need to type math characters in your answer. All right, so once you've activated that, you set what your word limit is. So maybe if this is a 500 words, word count visible on limit or off. So if you go on limit, it'll just show you that you've reached the limit, but always visible is fine. You can decide if you want students to go over the word limit or not. All right, so I'll click save on that. And then our final one was my math short answer question. So this one sets up very similarly. Question setup, text formatting for students. You can decide what kind of formatting they want. You can add options, so it's a little bit different. The previous one, you can just select them. Here, you have to actually add the types you want. Do you want them to just have basic symbols, algebra symbols, geometry symbols? You can kind of decide what symbols you want them to have access to. If you need more than them, you just add more in there. So maybe some geometry ones, so you add what you want them to see. Default mode, you want it to be math or text. And text blocks, I guess there are different text blocks you can add. I've not really played around with that too much. Maybe the math teachers will discover cool ways to use this. And then you save it. Now, once you're building, you want to see what this question looks like. You can go and there was a preview. There it is. Okay, so you can go and preview what your tests look like before you actually create it. So you can go and work through it. It doesn't actually save answers when you select it. Loading. Right, and there you go. So those are the basics of a few of those types of questions. I've not looked at all of these just yet, but in time I'm sure they're pretty easy to figure out. They're pretty straightforward. If you need any help setting some of these up, if you learn something interesting that I haven't discovered, please let me know. Next video will be on what grading could look like using an assessment like this.